Okay everyone, we're here on the scene in Russia, the rainforest of Russia, and there's a crazy flood going on right now, guys. And what I'm going to do today is tell you good tips to know when it's flooding. So, what you want to do first is test how high the water level really is. There's many ways you can do this, but one really good way that works is you take your hand, you cup it like this, and you sniff it. And that will let you know how deep it really is. That's about 45 meters. That sounds about right. 45 meters, that's dangerous water, y'all. That's crazy. Another good tip is to look at the skies. If it's cloudy, that means you're safe, there's no more rain gonna come. But when it gets clear, that's when you're really dangerous. And you really gotta watch out for crazy things like tigers and bears, because those are the dangerous things about floods. They can really pop up on you when you don't expect it. Now another thing you can do is you walk into the forest and you get to see how much the trees are drinking for their breakfast. Now what you really want to do is get the water to go under the trees so that the trees can drink the water, and it might help the water level to go down a little bit. But it looks like we've got this big monster right here, this huge man. He's amazingly large and he will drink a lot of water, so that is what you want to have in a flood like this. Alright guys, now I'm going to tell you about things you do not want to do in a flood. One of those things being, do not ever mow the lawn. If you mow the lawn, you're likely to blow up. I mean, that is just a very bad situation and you do not want to be there. Trust me, I've done it and I really regret it. So do not mow your lawn. Number two thing to never do during a flood is pee. You never want to pee because you just add more water to the flood, and that just makes things a lot deeper. And yeah, also the third thing you never want to do during a flood is eat walnuts. Walnuts are known to be flood controllers, and you do not want that because you really want the flood water to just go, and you don't want to control it, because if you control it, it gets really rebellious and then it starts rushing all around, flooding your lands, killing your cows, and you really don't want that. Trust me, it's awful. Number four thing you never want to do is start a fire, because if you start a fire, that means you've defiled physics, because fire doesn't work in water. Now one of the safest things to do if you're stuck in a flood is, the way to get out of it is to actually just jump in. I mean, that is the best way, most scientifically proven way to escape a flood. Because when you jump in the water, it carries you downstream to the area where the water is no longer flooded, and you're safe. And when the water flows downhill, everyone knows that if you follow a river downhill, you're going to find a village full of tiny trees. And that is what you really want to reach, because those tiny trees, they'll catch you, they'll grab you so you don't get pushed along the water anymore. So in this case, since this water is really large, you want to somehow just float out there, get into the main rushing part where all that water is like dangerous and crazy like. Because when you reach that area, you really reach the safest point you can ever be in a flood. Because that water is going to take you downstream and you're going to find that little bitty village with all those tiny trees and things like that. And another great thing you can do during a flood, if jumping in is not possible for you, is just call for help. So one thing you want to do in a flood that you want to really look for are chickens. If they're in a trampoline, that is a good sign. That means the chickens are really smart and know how to take shelter, and that you can learn something from them, because they know exactly what to do, because this is their habitat and they know how to survive in the floods. So everybody, if you can't jump in the water because the water is too low and it won't carry you downstream to that little bitty village, the best thing you can do is actually just to pee in it. As I was saying earlier, you never want to pee in flood water because it will make it bigger. But if the water is not big enough, all you got to do is release those liquids to make it flow really fast, and you just got to jump in. And I know that sounds pretty nasty, but you got to do it sometimes. You got to do what you got to do to survive, y'all. I mean, yeah, in a survival situation, you just got to do it. But luckily for me, this water is pretty large, so I don't think I'm gonna have to pee in it today. But if it was lower than about 3 inches, I would probably try and pee in it right now. But it's about higher than that, so I should be safe. So anyway, y'all, these were good tips about how to survive a flood and what to do in a flood. If you ever find yourself in the flood, watch this video and you'll know exactly how to get out, and you'll be perfectly safe and able to tell the tale to everybody you know. And if you ever get in this situation, contact me at 615-831-9841. That is 839-9841. And I'll try and help you through the situation, and hopefully we can work together and I can get you out, and then you can tell that tale to anyone you know. So thank you guys for watching.